What's going on, all you off-kilt weightlifters? This is the long-awaited return of Yasha Kahn to talk about programming, or at least I waited a long time for it. I'm not sure if any of you were counting down the days like I was, but I was. So last time Yasha came on, shared some wisdom about programming in general, about how he does it. This time we specifically talk about volume. This is going to be a two-part video. The first part is just how he calculates volume, how he calculates average intensity of all that volume, and what exercises qualify for the volume that he records. And then the second part is going to be how he specifically manipulates that volume to make sure that the lifters progress from week to week. So this is part one.
Go ahead.
We're back with Yasha finally. We're going to talk a little bit more about programming, specifically how he programs for his weightlifting team. Last time we talked about the general ideas of how he organizes his training cycles. This time we're going to talk specifically how he calculates the weekly microcycle and mesocycle volume, and specifically what he's doing with that. He explained to me exactly how much volume that he calculates in every week, in each week, in each cycle, and I thought it was kind of cool how he had an entire spreadsheet that he showed me how everything's laid out, so that the idea is that every training cycle you get maximal benefit after that, because you're not going too high in volume in a certain given percentage range and all that stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, good. Okay, cool. So I'm just gonna kind of let him take everything away, and then probably interrupt him a couple times.
So Jesse sent me a couple questions that I was going to answer, and then I got the whiteboard and a couple markers and started writing things out to answer. And I wrote down much more than I think what I needed to. So I'm going to go over some of the things that I went over to begin. So first, what is volume? What is intensity? Why are they important? If someone does too much intensity, they're going to kill themselves. They're going to be overly fatigued, and you can't do that day in, day out. So you have to, some days higher intensity, some days lower intensity. Same goes for volume. If you have too much volume, you're going to overwork. You're not going to have enough energy to upkeep, and also too much is not good. Too little is also not good. So what's the right amount? How do you calculate it? Where do you go from there? So first to start, I wrote out a simple program for one day. Muscle snatch, snatch pull, snatch press, and then some bodybuilding. For each one, 4 sets of 3 at 60% or kilograms, doesn't matter. 4 sets of 2, 80%, 80 kilograms, 4 sets of 3 at 90, and 3 sets of 8 at 60. To calculate the reps, that's the easiest one, it's just the number of reps. So for the muscle snatch, we have 4 sets of 3, that's 12 reps. But also we have all the warm-up sets that go into it. If you assign them, or if you assume that the athlete's going to perform the warm-ups, you have to take those into account also. So altogether we have 20 reps that are being done, 24 reps that are being done for the muscle snatch. The volume is calculated by multiplying the 12 times 60, 6 times 30, and 6 times 50. And then you get a total of 1,200 kilograms lifted, or whatever units. And then to get the intensity, it is volume divided by reps. So we have the 1,200 units divided by 24 reps. That's 50. The average that's lifted here per rep is 50. That's the intensity. That's for one exercise. But we have to calculate all the exercises that we do, and we have to do it across everything so that we know how much was lifted throughout the day. And that is done here. So on day 1, all exercises, the intensity is 70, number of reps 56, and this I'll explain afterwards.
Let's step back in. A couple of questions specifically about what you said so far. Okay, so the intensity that you're calculating over here, okay, you're saying that's volume divided by what?
Reps.
Reps. And so that 50, what does that 50 represent? Like, that's just the total average intensity of everything.
That's taking all the reps lifted, the average weight that you lifted was 50.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Now, are you specifically going through every single exercise and calculating the volume of every exercise, and why?
So not every exercise. There's primary exercises and there's secondary exercises. Primary exercises are the ones that we care the most about, like the snatch pull, the muscle snatch in this case. Clean and jerks go in there. Squats go in there, but all the general physical preparation stuff, whether listed in there or not, like regular presses or push-ups or curls or pull-ups, those are secondary, and those are important. But they should be counted separately because always the volume on those is lower, or the intensity is lower, the volume is usually high. And like running, you have to measure how much you're running. You can't just say, keep running forever. It has to be a limit, and you have to know how much was done in a certain amount of time.
Okay, so exercise specifically like snatch press, snatch push press, snatch balance, would those be primary or secondary? Is one of those?
So typically
primary?
press is secondary, and the
Any kind
other
of
ones,
press?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
but snatch balance because it's more dynamic and more relatable to the actual snatch.
That's
primary.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
cool.
So one more thing, like you're asking me this question of like, why am I saying snatch press is one way, but snatch push press? Where you're asking?
Snatch press being primary or secondary or
Yeah.
snatch push press.
Yep.
Right.
It's because a decision needs to be made which one is which. There's
Okay.
no necessity in setting one as primary and another one as secondary. But I'm just taking this from the system that I learned. In the system that I learned, it was very set, so all coaches within that system use exactly the same approach. So we know which exercises are primary, which exercises are secondary. We also know that anything that's under 50%, we don't count towards the primary amount of weight lifted.
Because the nervous system doesn't really accept it as like a stress that's
Yeah.
notable, basically.
Yeah,
Right?
but different systems might have different, I guess, lines in the sand
Yeah.
before which things are counted.
Right.
And we need to have a set way that we calculate everything every week. Otherwise, we might change it from week to week.
Right.
And so that coaches can compare their notes and their athletes' achievements.
Okay.
So taking the system that I learned, they looked at all of the training journals for all the Soviet Union lifters over a decade and saw when they made the biggest advances. And based on this specific, only using weights that are over 50%, only using primary exercises, these primary exercises for primary, these exercises for secondary exercises, they saw that at 72% plus or minus 2 intensity weekly, did they have any gains? So based on that, they knew that, okay, from here on, we know how to program a little bit more. We know that using this form of calculation, that's the intensity that's required. So if a coach was to come in and take those numbers, but apply it to their method of calculating intensity, volume, which exercises to use, it wouldn't apply because it's not relevant. You're not using the same system to calculate.
Right. That's also why you're using things like Prolipin's chart. I don't know if that's his name right. That was also based on like what they observed as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that so if you just take that one idea and apply it to your system, if you're not counting the same thing as primary exercises, it wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is within one system. Other systems may have different boundaries of what is primary, what is secondary, when to count the reps that go into it. At what weight do you start? At what weight do you don't do that?
So this is specifically how you calculate the volume and the average intensity for every exercise. Now, how do you fit that into an actual like weekly thing where like I know that I've gotten too high in volume and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
All right. So we'll be back next week with part 2.